everybody, it's Alan Brochstein coming to you from Houston, Texas, not New York City like last week, with an update on the cannabis market. I run New Cannabis Ventures, and in a week from Monday, on May 15th, I am restarting 420 Investor at Seeking Alpha. And if you're interested in that, pay attention to the information that will be coming out very shortly. So this was a great week for cannabis stocks, and I think that the reason was a little bit lame. We'll talk more about that in a few moments. The only news that really came out this week was about Illinois and their April sales, which are out very early May, were 132 million. That was only up 0.2% from a year ago. And that's not growth. And I get it that prices are low. I get it that the number of retail stores there hasn't expanded like it was supposed to, but wow. That was really the only news. I published an article at Seeking Alpha, which had a rare follow-up. The price actually rose a lot. Not at first, but I wrote a piece on MAPS or WM Technology. And you can read that. It's linked in the article that's linked in the summary of this video if you care. Or you can find me on Seeking Alpha and read all about why I think WM Technology should be on your cannabis investing map. There was a little bit of news this week as we started earnings season. Ascend didn't report earnings, but they signed a branding deal with the company that owns the Binsk and Oni brands. And those licensing deals were for Illinois, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. Curaleaf released its Q4 financials, not a really big surprise. The thing that was most important about it, in my view, was that they have now completed the transition from IFRS to GAAP accounting. And there was some slightly negative implications from that. I will tell you, if you look at the analyst outlook, it's down. I think because of that, not because of a change in their overall views. Their earnings are much lower than they were before. GTI reported a pretty good quarter, 249 million in revenue. It was down a little bit sequentially from Q4, but up 2% from a year ago. So I don't think that's great either in and of itself. I think, the stock exploded, and I'll talk more about the why in just a moment. It's safe banking. But I think that from that report, people saw the impressive cash flow generation. And they have a lot of cash, a little bit of debt that actually exceeds the cash, but that looks pretty good relative to peers. And, if you really paid attention to the filings or listened to the call, you'll know that they made no tax payments in Q1. So there are 2 tax payments in Q2. So if you're trying to extrapolate their cash flow from Q1, you're going to miss. Scotts Miracle-Gro reported a Q2. They're on a different fiscal year end. And the Hawthorne Gardening, that's their cannabis ancillary business, plunged. It fell 30% sequentially. And the company had kind of a diminished outlook based mainly on, I think, on the weakness at Hawthorne. And then finally, Village Farms announced that Rose Life Science, which it controls, is going to work with Hexo in Quebec. They also announced that their products are now in Germany. Now, it's not a secret. I really like Village Farms. Is it the best cannabis company ever? No. They do all right in Canada. Canada kind of stinks, but they do all right there. And I think the reason I like them can be simplified. They trade at an extremely low amount of tangible book value. They're way below tangible book value. And unlike the other 2 that I like, Organogram and Cronos Group, They do have a little bit more debt than cash, but it's not a problem. The company really messed their stock up selling stock earlier this year, and it's way, way down. And I think that investors got kind of mad at them for doing that. Oh well. Um, Now I want to talk about the market performance for this week. We were up 3.4% for the week, the global cannabis stock index. And the S&P 500 fell 0.8%. Whoa! Does that make sense? No. Well, yes, it makes sense because our stocks are very cheap. But the reason why they rallied, including a 5% move on Friday, is that both the House and, more importantly, the Senate are going to discuss and probably vote on safe banking. Woohoo! So the House has already passed it 7 times. It didn't matter. The Senate has never voted on it, and this is going to be maybe the first time they vote on it. And I wrote about it at New Cannabis Ventures this week, if you go back to the newsletter. And I'll just tell you again, if you didn't read that piece, I'll tell you. Safe banking doesn't really matter. Does it matter to the people like you and me? Yes. Right now, the cannabis business is mainly cash, and that's kind of scary. It creates a criminal aspect because of all that cash. People want to steal the cash, and it's dangerous. Now, this isn't widespread, but there are some stories about gun robberies. And so I think that it's important to the people. I think it's important to companies that don't have access to banking. Now, if you're a cannabis investor, you may think it's important to your company. No. All the public companies have access to banking. Now, maybe it could get better, but is that really going to make a big difference? I don't think so. So I'm not against safe banking. I am for it. And I think that there's an alternative perspective that if the Senate passes safe banking, then maybe people that hope for more have some confidence that they could get more. I continue to believe that it's these other things that really matter, not safe banking. What are the other things? Number one, the elimination of the 280E tax, which taxes cannabis companies at their gross profit level. Now, you may not be an accounting major. I'll just tell you, most companies pay on their net profits. Net profits are gross profits minus a lot of costs of business. Cannabis companies can't deduct that. Cannabis companies are hard up for cash right now, and it would be a big deal. The other big thing, and I wrote about this again this weekend at New Cannabis Ventures in the newsletter, the other thing would be being able to trade on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. These aren't illegal. It's just those private organizations don't want to do it. Maybe they will in the future. Will safe banking help? I don't think so. It's really a separate issue. So those are the two things to really watch out for. But as I tell you all this, I'm just warning that cannabis stocks are popping for a bad reason. Does that mean they're going to go down? No, it doesn't mean that. I run 2 model portfolios, and they have 4 to 6% cash right now. I'm not that negative. Why? Because cannabis stocks are very cheap. Very. But we'll see. So as I said, this week we were up 3.4% for the full week. And that leaves us year to date still down 12.2%. And the S&P 500 is 20 points better, up 7.7. 20 points different. That's why I wouldn't tell people to sell their cannabis stocks. They're really cheap. Things may improve. I think they will. It's just a question of when. If you're a leveraged trader, no, there is no reason to buy right now. If you're a long-term investor, yeah, there's a reason. So I run 2 model portfolios, as I talk about each week, and they both started on December 31st, and which was right ahead of the January rally before the market started plunging again, and beat the global cannabis stock index. Can you guess what I'm trying to do there? I'm trying to beat the global cannabis stock index, and I am, but not this week. It rose only 3% this week. That was a little bit behind the 3.4% gain in the global cannabis stock index. But year to date, I'm only down 7.3%, and the index is down 12.2%. I'm doing better. I'm beating the global cannabis stock index. And is this new? No. I've been doing that when I was at Badzinga. I did that almost every month, certainly every quarter, almost every year. I think I didn't beat it. No, I did. I did beat it every year. So no, that's nothing new. Now, I also started beat the American Cannabis Operator Index, and at the same time, and that one's not going as well. It's new, and I'm trying to not only beat the American Cannabis Operator Index, which I'm not, but I'm also trying to beat MSOS, which I was, but I'm actually a little bit behind. MSOS is loaded with GTI and Curaleaf, and they were up big this week. So no, now I'm not beating that one. So this week, that was up 4.3% because MSOs did really well, but the index gained 8.5%, and MSOS gained 11.8%. So tough week for my model portfolio. And year to date, my model portfolio is down 15.2%. The index is only down 1%. I'm really failing on that one. MSOS is down 11.6%. So it's now beating me pretty badly. So I end these discussions with the outlook for the calendar. I'm not going to go over it, but I'm going to just call out the big ones. And Cronos Group is a big one that reports on Tuesday. IIPR is a big one that reports on Tuesday. Ascend Wellness, GrowGen, and MAPS all report on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Trulieve, Verano, and Village Farms report. And in the afternoon, one that I really like, Hydrofarm reports. On Thursday, in the afternoon, a bunch report, but they're all pretty small except for TerraSyn. And then finally on Friday, there's a few reporting too. So with that, I will say once again, if you are sitting there thinking safe banking is going to make the market go higher, I ask that you give it some thought. Yes, it has made it go higher. Yes, in the past, it's made it go higher. But you should really think through why. Why is it going to go higher? And I would think that you'll come up with, I don't know. So have a good week, everybody. And by the way, I'm going live on May 15th at Seeking Alpha with 420 Investor. And stay tuned. I will provide an update on how you can join. Take care.